episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Good morning.
Live from Gotham.
Live from the Broad Studio here in Los Angeles, California.
We have a special guest for you all.
The villain is here. The one we praise is here today. I got a DM out of nowhere, and I didn't even check.
I also, for the record, I don't check my DMs.
Right.
So I don't know if
Did I DM you too?
I don't know if you did. I have no clue.
Well, hold on. This was the thing. It was like random. And again, I don't check like that often, like random DMs. So like, it was just like one of those things that when you hit a button and I just saw this thing that said something like, I love the Bane impression.
Does it have a blue check though?
Yeah, so that
I
think
you
you don't.
I
You don't.
So I don't
Why
know. So
not?
I don't know
think
why
anybody
I saw
from our season does yet, except for Gabby and Rachel.
Bullshit.
Wow.
No, I'm pretty sure, or maybe Susie as well. But no, I haven't. I've been kind of like keeping an eye on that because, from my understanding, like you get a blue check. I don't actually know the process.
Instagram either just gives you one, or you
apply for it, but
you can apply for it. You have to be like creating original content or some stupid thing like that.
I think it has to do with like, from what I was told, it's like if you are somebody that might be impersonated, you can get a blue check. And because there were like,
well, we did the Bane impression, you did get a blue check mark. That's bullshit.
I cited it. There were like 17 articles written in like publications from like Elite to Cosmo to like whatever that featured my name. So I thought that I might be able to. But,
Sure.
But no, we're this cast of
I don't get it.
Hold on. We're still in the middle of the intro here. We're talking about Instagram biopics here. So I want to say this. All I see is like the top line that says something like, I loved the Bane impression. And I thought to myself, like, oh, it's been a while since I've heard anything about that. And I was like, and I just clicked on it. And I didn't track with the name and who was saying it. So I was just reading it and I was like, oh, the Bane impression. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. And I was like, we should like do a show. And I was like, what is and I'm like, I see Cassidy and I'm like, no. There's no way it's actually Cassidy. Like, I had to like press and like look at the pictures and be like, holy shit, it's Bane.
No, I'm telling you guys, I literally, so after episode 2 and 3 aired, I listened to like every Bachelor recap podcast under the sun.
Right.
Some of which I was already familiar with from like my fanhood before the show. But like I listened to everything to get kind of a composite image of what people had to say about me.
Yeah, of course.
And the overarching impression was like, Cassidy's clearly crazy, but is she wrong?
Right.
And so that was, I was having fun with that. And I was like literally cracking the fuck. None of the other, I listened to every single one. None of them was I like literally in stitches. I was like, this is exactly what I was going for. They got it.
Yes.
So that was, okay. I love that because
this is my demographic.
Okay, broads, before we dive into this extra special episode with the bros, we have to pause for a delicious, delectable break. You're welcome.
My stomach is growling. I already know what you're going to say.
Because we're talking about Wild Grain, the first bake from frozen box for artisanal bread that uses only clean ingredients such as unbleached and non-GMO flour and utilizes a slow sourdough fermentation process that's better for you and tastes better than anything you can find in a grocery store.
My mouth is watering, guys. They have rolls, pastries, even handmade pastas. Here's how it works. You sign up, you choose which type of box you want to receive and how often. Then Wild Grain delivers for free a box of breads, pastas, and pastries with easy to follow instructions. Every item bakes from frozen in 25 minutes or less.
Hungry already? For a limited time, you can get $30 off the first box plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/chatty to start your subscription. You heard me correctly. Free croissants. They're so good in every box. And $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/chatty. That's wildgrain.com/chatty, or you can use promo code chatty at checkout.
One of my biggest questions was like, because there's some times where they like create a villain cut.
Yeah.
Were you going for just be like a total fuck you attitude to the other contestants of like, because there's a thing to me that we constantly talk about is people are always talking about like the house dynamics and being like stepping on people's toes. And me and Evan are constantly like, does everyone forget that
You
it's
don't
not
have to
about
do this shit.
your relationship with the other girls. The other girls are not. It's not House of Friends. It's
Well,
not make a
Evan-
whole bunch of friends. It's you're all competing. They're all your enemy.
Right.
Evan made a good point though when I was listening to the recap episode you guys did, where he was like, "But now everyone hates you," which is unfortunately a powerful tool in the house. Because truthfully, like having watched the show since Ben Higgins season, my favorite people on the show have always been like, I loved Corinne Olympios. I loved, Crystal Nielsen. I just fuck with the female characters who don't give a shit what anybody thinks.
Crystal is my like.
She's literally iconic, right?
She is the best part of Becca's season.
And you're like, and I have children with Becca.
No. When Crystal left the show, I was like, why are we even watching it anymore? What's the point?
And I feel like, Shanae kind of embodied that on my, honestly, and like credit where it's due, she villained circles around me. I
my
could
God.
never have touched
So
that.
I wanted to ask, there's so many questions I have on that.
Let's do a nice
Okay.
rant.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's
You know what I
really
mean? Like we
ramp
could
it
always
up.
jump right into it. Like
totally.
let's ramp
To
ourselves.
answer your first question, though, I was like advised by a lot of family and friends that I was probably going to get a villain edit just based on like my general personality traits. I never shut the fuck up.
They're like, we know what you're like at the family
They're like,
barbecue.
you're gonna go
Like queen, keep an eye out. And I was
Right,
like, me
right.
though? No, never. And they're
Right.
like, so, I was, what's so funny about it is that I was like actively trying not to be a villain the whole time. And like the fact that my trying as hard as I can not to be and still being an immediate villain is like kind of fucking hilarious. But
Well, you can't. I just love I love that it's honest. Because that's what I loved taking it back to the Dollhouse conversations. Was I just loved how much your partner was like, you're not helping me build the dollhouse, and you were just like, I don't give a fuck about this dollhouse.
Like you're missing the point of
You're
this
like,
whole thing.
This whole thing. Do you think he cares about
That was
the
why-
dollhouse? And you're just like, I'm just gonna go make out with him.
Right.
That's
was
what he
why
cares about.
I got such a kick out of your guys' reaction because that's exactly what I thought when I was watching it back was like, I mean, I know I'm talking about myself here, but like, this is the only real bitch in the group right now. Like
I was
she's
dying.
like, okay, it's like he's right there. No, so
Right,
really,
right.
so in fact, like at the cocktail party right before I was sent home, I was kind of at this point I was a little bit leaning in because I knew that the girls didn't like me, but I knew that it was unfounded. And so I was like, I remember walking into there was a fireplace room where, if I remember correctly, Sarah and Hunter and maybe one other girl were sitting, and it had rained that night. So I was talking to Clayton outside, and then we came back inside. We cut filming for a second because of the rain, and then we got back to it, and Gabby was outside with him, and I walked in and I was like, have you guys talked to Clayton yet? And they were like, oh no, not yet. Like I think we're cut for like the rain. And I was like, oh really? That's weird. Cause like Gabby's talking to him right over there. Like I definitely already talked to him. Like whatever. So like there was a point, if my time on the show had gone on longer, I think I would have leaned in a lot heavier because I was kind of enjoying the producers pay more attention to you when you're playing a role like that, and they hype
right.
you up,
Totally.
and like it I respond really well to like that kind of like, you're crushing it, you are killing it, he
Right.
loves you, like whatever, so I'm in a sense I'm kind of glad that it got cut as short as it did, because I would have I'm not the amount to which I would have spiraled is probably a lot.
I love it.
I was
love it.
hell yeah, like fuck yeah, like, oh, can I talk to him again? I can do that. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So there's
Right. And they're loving it, of course. Well, okay, I have an earlier question.
sure.
What made you audition? And then how was that like how did you get even think like, oh, I'm gonna audition and like, this is a thing?
So truthfully, so I was in a relationship. So Ben Higgins season was the first one I watched back. I don't even think I was old enough to apply yet. I was like 20 years old, and my jaw, I just remember my jaw like falling to the floor when I was watching the night one episode of Ben Higgins, and I was like, I want to do this so bad.
Oh wow.
It's just so glamorous, and everyone looks so
Yeah.
beautiful, and then I was in a relationship for a long time after that. My 5-year ex and I broke up in the summer of 2019, and to be honest with you, coincidentally, I had a friend in LA that needed a roommate. I grew up in Arizona, so my family's
Okay.
not far from
Where
here.
at?
Scottsdale.
That's where I was born.
Nice.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you.
Born in Scottsdale, and then I lived in Mesa, like Apache Junction area.
Yeah, okay.
For a
I grew up in
while.
like North Scottsdale, like Cave Creek, Carefree area.
That's my cousin was living in Cave Creek for a long time. Now he's like outside Phoenix.
Crazy.
Dude, that's what
our family's still out there.
I was like convinced I
have
was gonna get a hometown
little
because I was
desert rats.
like, yeah, I was like, no one else is from like a cowboy town.
Right.
Like I'll probably
For
whenever
real.
totally like the bar that we do our like yearly high school reunion at has like not mechanical but like literal bull riding. There's an actual bull and a person.
Wow.
And so like that's the level we're
Yeah,
talking
My
yeah.
here.
parents always talk about when we were kids. So like I moved to LA when I was like 4.5. So, but we have family there, so we're going back a lot. But I remember driving out there and seeing stuff where like you'd see development plans, you'd see dirt cul-de-sac plots that were just waiting to be built. And then you'd just be driving miles out on dirt roads that are all already pre-approved plans for expansion.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Wow.
No,
But-
that's Arizona's gonna pop. Like the real estate market is already absolutely booming, and it's gonna be.
Oh yeah, we always joke about
Revisit.
Ari Lyondike just killing it in
my
real estate
God.
out there because he's in Scottsdale.
So like that was kind of the first experience with The Bachelor where I was like, holy shit, like none of this is real. Is that I hated Ari. Like I hated watching his season. I thought he was so dull. I didn't think he was that attractive. And like right on the hindtails of Nick and Ben, if I remember correctly, he was just such a dud by comparison. And I think the Emily season that he initially appeared on was before I was watching the show. So I was like, who cares, you know?
Right.
But thankfully the girls saved that season. But then like watching it back, or not watching it back, but like following it in like a more current timeline,
Yeah.
he and Lauren look like they're literally gonna like spend the rest of their lives together. And it's like I was such a hater.
I fangirl big time.
Yeah, you're a
I'm
huge
always
fan.
like, their love is so real.
Yeah. I'm like, look at Alessi.
I'm a
Isn't she
huge
beautiful?
fan. I was always like, when Becca was off, I was like, Becca, shut up. Like, I'm trying to watch this love story unfold.
Trying to watch your ex fall in love.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just please stop.
So back to the audition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I moved to truthfully, I moved to LA because I had a friend out here who needed a roommate, and it kind of worked out that way. But like in the back of my head, I'd had the idea that I was going to apply for The Bachelor for quite some time, or at least, you know, I was like, if I'm ever single again,
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to apply for the show. And then, of course, like a lot of people moved to LA afterward. I thought I could just get ahead of the whole thing, and this was obviously before COVID, so I figured to like during the interview process, if I were to make it that far, it would be easier if I'm accessible that way.
Yeah.
Things were conducted via Zoom because of the pandemic, but that was kind of my thought process going into the move, and kind of the reasons why I thought that moving here would be beneficial to that goal ultimately. And then the next year, I was so in love with Greg Grippo. You guys, like I had a fucking mental breakdown when they told me Greg Grippo wasn't The Bachelor. I was like, what the fuck? Like I was so pissed. I'm pretty sure that's what secured my place. Like when I was doing the final interview with the execs, is that I was just like talking shit about Katie the whole time, and they were like,
So you were a fan of the girls. You listened to their podcast, right?
yeah.
What did you think of their takes on Greg?
Oof, that was kind of the beginning of my riff with the Chatty Broads was
I love you have beef in the street.
Because they never liked him from the get-go.
Oh, they never. And so they never did. But like the reasons that they did, like I love the broads articulate themselves so well, and they're very nuanced in their opinions. So like I could see where they were coming from. But he's so hot, and like, you know.
What did you think about what did you think about gaslight or not a gaslight at the end of the season?
I think that it was just kind of unfortunate the way that it all panned out. But I think that the main thing that bothered me in hindsight, the way that Greg spoke to her, like the aggressive nature with which he kind of approached that conversation, is a huge red flag in general. If someone ever feels comfortable talking to you like that for some reason, that's definitely something to make a serious mental note of, if not terminate the relationship completely from that point on. Cause like it like, don't be blinded by the hotness. Like
Yeah,
that's fucked
right.
up. You know what I mean? But oh my God,
Soured the milk for you.
The fact that the broads didn't recap Clayton's season, devastated. I'm like,
Well,
oh my gosh.
so
I was
then
so
when-
relieved that you guys did it.
when you found out how early on did you find out it was Clayton, and how did you feel about that?
So I didn't know that I was going to be final cast until about 2 weeks before filming started. In fact, I was on the phone with my mom. So they do medical testing, of course, for us the whole early on. And my blood work was testing positive for mono. And I just remember being like,
What?
okay, listen, I don't know what you guys are talking. If anything, I sleep 1 hour a night, like right now. What are you talking about? But so on like the 5th or 6th time I did blood work, they were like, they really want you on the show. We're going to bring you out anyways. We're going to test your blood one more time. And I was on the phone with my mom and I was like, Mom, I think it might be time to like kind of let this go. Like, there's no way based on like what they're telling me about like the numbers of my blood work. Even though I had absolutely no reason to think that I had mono, I was, I don't know. I'm
That's
not a
so
doctor.
weird.
Really weird, right? So lo and behold, they take me out to the hotel, and the final blood work that they do on me, like down to the wire, we're in the clear. I'm
No
good
mono.
to go.
Thank
no
goodness.
Mono. Thank goodness. Except like, I definitely was like, but okay. So to wrap up the answer to your question, so I almost didn't make the cast, but like a week and a half before filming started, I was at the hotel and I was set to, we did B-roll and stuff, and but all throughout the casting process, like from start to finish, I mean, I made a goal of getting on the show. I had like all my friends and family send a nomination in for me. I'm the only person in the entire world with the legal name Cassidy Timbrooks. So I was like, if I put my name in the pile enough times, like, they're gonna see it. So, but like the whole way through, every time that I advanced, I kept being like, surely this is as far as I'm gonna go. Like, there's no fucking way. You know what I mean? I don't speak 12 languages. I'm, I'm not miss anything.
Right,
like,
which kind of seems to kind of be the thing.
Exactly.
Right.
So like then it was like, it was really interesting too, because like that was kind of the point of pride for me, was that like there's no actual like distinguishable reason why I should be like qualified for this. But then like I was getting hate during those couple of weeks, and I was like these people in my messages, I was like, I promise you are so much more like me than you are like whoever your favorite is on this show. Like, you know what I mean? I think that
sure.
being really fucking normal kind of played for and against me, depending on how you look at it.
Sure.
But yeah.
Because there is that whole thing of like, if you are Miss whatever, or you are, I have these credentials, and it's like you're playing the role of perfection, then it's not so much reality.
What's that like pageant
Whereas
kid
in like,
background?
right?
That's
Versus like
Totally.
reality is gonna be a little more rough around the edges. Like there's gonna be moments of nice, there's gonna be moments of frustration, there's gonna be anger, there's gonna be fuck up. Like that's a normal human being. So I could imagine like what you're saying is like, I didn't have this role set out to be like the perfect person, and so then you're dealing with like both sides of that, like you said.
Well, I'm so glad. First off,
Yes.
I'm so glad that
We
you're
were
on it,
super
because
excited about it.
the show, it would have been awful. I'll just say it would have been so boring.
Everyone just trying to out-perfect each other.
Literally, if you and Shanae had not been on the show, it would have been
Truly.
like, what show?
Yeah.
What season?
Because they
I don't
needed
remember-
something to have.
Until you said Clayton, I literally forgot his name because there's only
Right.
2 people I remember.
There was two. There was the
It's just you two. I'm
there was
like,
there was
what
the
else?
section
Oh
A
my
and then the
God.
section B.
There's literally
There was the
no
first
other-
section and the second
Dude,
section.
I watched Talladega Nights the other night, and I was like I'm the Cal Naughton Jr. to Shanae's Ricky Bobby. I
Absolutely.
slingshot of that bitch
So shake and bake,
I
baby.
shake and bake, Magic Man.
Okay, broads, quick pause. So when it comes to working out, I feel like I need 2 things to actually do it. I need something that offers fun variety because your girl gets bored, and I need something that offers a workout option with various times, because sometimes I'm wired and want to hit it hard for 50 minutes, and other times, more often than not, I have a hot 15 minutes between work and momming. Well, let me tell you, the solution to this equation is Peloton.
They have even classes shorter than 15 minutes
Yeah.
too, for like really quick arm workout or like a stretch or
They're so
whatever.
good.
Not to mention their instructors. They'll keep you motivated 24/7, whatever your fitness level. Peloton instructors, they do not just teach, they motivate and they entertain. Like the classes fly by with them. Oh my God, their instructors are top notch. Plus, Peloton has thousands of live and on-demand classes. You can always keep it fresh. They've got cycling, strength training, yoga, running, everything. You can experiment with new types of movement, totally judgment-free also, at a level and pace that feels good for you.
And it's fun. Nothing gets me moving like the perfect song. And every Peloton class is set to a great playlist. In the mood for a ride full of club bangers, an EDM run, a yoga flow class with soul music, whatever you're into, you'll find the perfect soundtrack for your workout on Peloton.
Right now is the perfect time to try out Peloton. The Peloton Bike Plus is now $500 less at its best price yet, including free delivery and setup. And there are more game-changing prices available on the original Peloton Bike and Peloton Tread. So visit onepeloton.com to learn more.
So healthcare professionals are heroes, and I think the last few years we've all felt that more deeply than ever. Well, Figs celebrates these 100% incredible people by making scrubs they actually want to wear. Forget boxy, itchy cotton scrubs. Figs are engineered to be ridiculously soft and incredibly durable, and they're cute too.
And using their innovative technical comfort technology, Figs blends comfort, style, and durability all into the high performance scrubs that help you perform at your best, whatever your day throws at you. I have a couple friends that are in the healthcare industry. They swear by Figs. They use their proprietary 4-way stretch fabric for a ridiculously soft feel. They're moisture wicking, anti-wrinkle, and anti-odor, thanks to Silvadur antimicrobial technology. Whatever that is, it sounds fantastic. They have up to 20 pockets on some styles, and you can customize yours with text and icon embroidery.
And they have an amazing variety if you check out their website. Their super popular core scrubs never go out of stock or style, and you can mix and match any core scrubs with each other for a quick wardrobe refresh.
Awesome. And Figs believes the awesome humans in healthcare deserve scrubs that match. So head to wearfigs.com and use code ChattyBroads to get 15% off your first order. That's wearfigs.com, code ChattyBroads for 15% off your first order.
I want to get into this too, because this is
I'm super curious.
I'm so curious
because
about this.
We were going like, there are so many things we were just going on about in that season because.
But I loved that you guys had the initial take, and I think a lot of the like more nuanced viewers did as well. Of like, you know, the fact that I was lumped in with her kind of sucked in the sense that she got such a rough edit, but it was nice because it was like, okay, well, but she's extremely relevant, so kind of like having the lasting, the staying power even beyond my exit was kind of nice. But at the same time, like as people really didn't like her.
No.
But I also think that she took your initial approach and did it to like the gnarliest version. You know what I mean? So it wasn't even so much like you were the first take, and we were like, oh, we got a good villain here, and there's some good edge in there, and you know the girls are fighting with her, and you could clearly she's connecting with him, but then there's also this, and then Shanae was like, okay, I see you. And then I'm gonna set it all on fire. The level was just so wild.
It's like, I mean, and I think you guys said it in your episode where you were like, you know, or maybe it was
please quote us.
Oh my gosh.
Please quote us.
I hope this is right. But it was like no one can do Cassidy better. Like it's just, she wasn't, oh gosh, I can't do the exact quote. I'm forgetting. But the point was that like, it was clearly very inauthentic when Shanae was trying to do it in a way that it was very authentic to me. And I will say this about my time on the show. Like I saw so many posts over the time that was like, okay, Cassidy has to be a paid actor, right? Nobody acts like this. And it was like, meanwhile, cut to everyone who knows me in real life being like, yep, that's her. I'm exactly that fucking unhinged in the real world.
She said, what would Cassidy do?
She literally
said that. And
Cassidy
those were
wasn't
like,
on that group date, but the ghost of me was.
These were like such warm moments for me as I was watching. And I remember then when you were like, when we were talking about her elevating it in the Women Tell All, you were like, Cassidy, you should apologize.
No,
you were like, you're actually, Shanae, you're like, you're actually in the wrong. You should apologize. I forget what you said, but you were like, no, hun, like you need to.
I'm like, you've been given such a platform
just
here.
Like,
just say
this is your moment, just like to redeem yourself. And it was like, no.
And the cuts, and truthfully, it was so, dude, the cuts that didn't make air when Shanae's hot seat was happening, I was literally like mama-ing her. so she was very overwhelmed, very deer in the headlights.
Well, yeah.
Of course. And like, I knew her mental state going into all of it because I was one of the few girls from the season that ever touched base with her or checked in with her. And I did several times. And I knew that she was really anxious about going into the tell-all and all that. So during her hot seat, she was just like freezing up and being very kind of like, I mean, it was very obvious how uncomfortable she was and whatever. And I remember like one time I was like, everyone shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shanae, look at me. This is your moment right now. You have an opportunity here. Pretend it's just you and me in the room. Just act like you're talking to me. And really just tried to encourage her to like turn everything else off and just like speak from the heart. I don't think that it was effective. I don't think that the way that she presented herself at the tell-all was how she really felt.
Well, it was interesting because my whole take on both of you was that I thought that you were true to yourself in that way. There was like, you were honest. There was unhinged moments. Like there was just kind of like, there was just, you were no filter.
I thought it was hilarious.
But that's what I'm saying. But it didn't feel a role.
It felt like a bit.
No. That's it. Just
like, but like if in my opinion, I loved that.
It just didn't feel that way. It didn't feel like, oh, she's playing this crazy role, because she was just saying things that were like, why would you say that? Because that'll incriminate you. But like your honesty was just like so very funny. Real.
I was obsessed with what you said, Evan. You're like Cassidy's crazy too, because like, she seems normal until she starts talking.
Well, no, because you would do these things where you would like connect with him and be like, and then all of a sudden you'd say something and I'd be like, does she know the cameras are on? Like she just said, like she just basically told everyone all these things.
And I'm like, you had like some dude on the side and you were like casually talking about it. And that's when I was like, whoa, she is drunk. Like right now. But it's like you never let your guard slip.
But kind of for more than anything, it was just like no filter. And I think that's what made me go, okay, she's a villain in that she's ruffling feathers, but I don't feel like she's
malicious.
It doesn't feel malicious, and it also doesn't feel nearly as like concocted. Because when we saw Shanae, that's when I go like, okay, she literally is just designing the most evil character. Like, how do I do? Because it was just like.
No, truly
so delicious.
I really wish that there had been more of it because I enjoyed watching it back. Like I thought that I was fucking killing it.
Yeah.
And it was so authentic. Like I was truly having so much fun and just like fucking around. And it wasn't until the night portion when I looked up and realized like I thought I was like, an authentic bit, but it was a bit the whole time of just like, we're just messing around.
Playing
it's not that serious.
Having fun.
Right, having fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the night portion when I looked up and realized like, holy shit, everybody hates me. And I was so distraught about it. They didn't show that part, but like Clayton liked me. You know what I mean? Like it was
clearly
like, it was very, I felt that way. And it was very like, there's a scene at the cocktail party before the rose ceremony where I got sent home where like, I've watched it several times and like, we're kissing and like, that's the kind of like, he's smiling the whole time. We're just like messing like you're a good kisser, like you are too. It was just very like that's like a real. It was cute. It was very real. And I knew that he had the strongest connection with me of anyone on that. And like I mean, like if to my memory, with the exception of Gabby, neither Susie, none of his other people that he clearly had a strong connection with were on that date. Yeah. So I felt very confident. Not that we knew at that time or anything, but like I was pretty sure that I was going to get the group date rose and that he liked me the best and all that. So I felt even more liberty to just like fuck around with the whole thing. So I was like, well, I can have fun with this. I don't need to really do all that. And, so then to the night portion, there was a portion where, when he was awarding the group date rose, he said something to the effect of like, Serene, like, thank you for being so intentional. And like Cassidy, you were so open. And they were like, the audience, like the Twitter sphere was like open about what? Like opened her mouth maybe, like, but right.
Yeah, of course.
They cut out a whole, like I had told him that my dad died a year before that, like suddenly from brain cancer. And I had really, but none of it fit the narrative of the fact that like Cassie doesn't give a shit about what anyone thinks. And so it was cut out. And like, I wasn't even mad at that edit because I thought it was kind of funny and like kind of badass. I was like, I wish I was totally the person who like gave zero fucks what anybody thinks, but like sometimes I do.
Everyone does, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, but it was like, it was I was definitely drunk with power and alcohol.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, this is something I want to point out is like, we all feel it. We all care what someone thinks about us. And like, it's probably got to be like super existential or like alienating when you're like, all of you are playing versions of yourself and you feel like you're being really authentic, and then everyone hates you because you're making progress with the person, and there's jealousy in that, which is like blinding them in this way, but then it makes you isolated.
100%.
And then it makes you doubt all these things about yourself. But what I loved watching it was like, you didn't stop. You just kept doing it. And it was also like, it's like suddenly when you're just like, I'm going to have fun just being like, fuck you guys. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go make out with him. All of you can too.
Oh my God.
All of you can do. I mean, this is the thing. All those girls watch the show. Mm-hmm. And it's something we've brought up a bunch. Whenever they do these dumb challenges, because they're so stupid, everyone takes it so seriously. And they're like, no, you have to follow the rules. You have to follow the rules. It's a relay race. You can't break it. But it's like, no, if you watch the show, they're like, chug a gallon of milk. You just see girls holding the gallon of milk upside down.
We'll go
or
back to
some
Kelly.
girl will be like, I'm not even going to drink it and just run past it. And then everyone's like, you can't do that. And it's like,
why?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
There's no rule. There's literally no rule to this other than make a connection.
So here's
Let
a little
yourself
tea.
Stand out.
Here's a little tea that
Love tea.
I hope that I'm not violating my contract by saying this, but I was confused that they left this out of the edit because it would have bolstered the image of me they were trying to put forward. But I actually talked to Clayton first on night 1, and I got the first kiss of the season. I think that they aired Teddy's conversation first, but like from that moment on, I was positive like that I was gonna go far because I was like, like I established this, and there's the conversation with Shanae later where I'm like, early connections are what last. That was my priority. I was like, make sure that I make an early connection by any means necessary, and we'll figure it all out later, like down the line once the bottom half of the herd gets weeded out, right? But so that little car race thing that we did, which was really cute and fun, that was the first thing that after all the limo entrances happened, that was I was allowed to be the one that presented him a drink after his toast, and we went out and did the little thing, and I had my time, and I was keeping tabs on all the other women, and about like at one point there were like 10 or 11 girls that had said that they hadn't had any time to talk to him yet, and I was offered like, do you want to talk to him again? And I was like, seems like a bad idea, probably gonna not do that. Also, like, part of my strategy of getting time early on was that like, okay, I know this is gonna go on until 9 a.m. and we're drinking, so like if I can fuck off for the rest of the night and just like mind my business, then I won't be talking to him after 6 cocktails and make a total fool of myself, So
that's a good strat.
That is a really good strategy.
Yeah. And I didn't know it at the time, of course, but they were obviously, I think it's pretty clear about my personality that like if you give this bitch a cookie, she'll be like, wow, a cookie. And so I think that like they knew that all they had to do was prop me up a little bit and hype me up, and I was gonna like
go.
Just like, yeah.
Well, what I like about it was like that.
Well, and that's their job. Let's be real on that. Their job is to create reality TV, and reality TV without drama is just stupid and a waste of time.
I was never mad about my edit. I was never even mad about
I love that.
Yeah, no,
that's
not at all.
amazing. Because also there's something of like, I'm sure you experienced a ton of hate, and that is like, I find that so frustrating just because like, I don't get why people take it so personally.
Neither do I.
The only people who are allowed to take it to that level are the other people on the show. And I never understand like the incendiary, like how elevated it gets for some people to send this stuff, because like we've been there when Jess responds or Becca responds to like the most flagrant, offensive, inappropriate stuff to be sending somebody, and people pretend like I think most people's thoughts is, oh, they're never going to see it. But it's like,
So,
actually,
totally.
you read a lot of girls, they're reading all the DMs. And it is like, when they respond of like, wow, I can't believe you feel that way, people double back and they're like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean this. I didn't do it. Like, there's no spine to any of these freaking worms sending this stuff in it, but it does mess with you.
No, totally. So that's
totally messes with you.
One of the reasons I've always really liked Becca is that she's very outspoken and like just kind of does and says whatever is on her mind. And then, like, I know she's been on the receiving end of a lot of shit that, like, over the, past few years.
She has a way.
She has a way. And she I don't, honestly, I feel like we have a similar energy of, like, when she's not even trying to, she's under people's skin somehow, which to your point, like, I remember watching the episode back, there was a part where, like, me and Mara had a little stare down where it was like, oh no, I just saw you looking at me, so whatever. And, like, I moved this woman to tears, doing nothing, saying nothing, like, she was crying, and I was like, wow, like, the power that it takes to, like, get under people's skin that hard when you're really not doing anything actually to hurt them is kind of genius. But no, so one of the things about the the Friends with Benefits thing that ended up really...
Yeah, tell us more about this.
So the feedback that I got from the audience... So every season there's, like, one person who falls on the sword of, like, oh, they had a boyfriend or girlfriend before they got here. And I thought it was really fascinating that every time that it was referred to, like, it was very clear. It was like a friends with benefits or a fuck buddy or whatever. So it was like, it's right there in the name. Like, this isn't my boyfriend. You know what I mean? I haven't lied to anybody or deceived anybody. And the way that was interpreted by the fan base for at least a couple of weeks there was almost worse than if I had a boyfriend, because it was like, not only was I, did I have, like, a quote unquote guy on the side or whatever, but, like, also, like, I'm a slut and, like, nobody wants me. And, like, well, like, that fueled the, you know what I mean? Like, oh, so you can't get, anyone to commit to you or whatever. And
that's just mean.
It was really weird.
Yeah, it's just that's unnecessarily mean. That's not even like a commentary on whether you should or shouldn't be dating someone when you go on the show, or whether whatever. It's not even a commentary on, like, the approach. It's just, like, shaming somebody.
No, and it's also, like, playing into these super outdated tropes on just, like, sexual freedom of, like, 100%. If we were talking about a guy, it's be like, well, he's supposed to.
Right. It wouldn't.
But if we talk about a woman, it becomes this, like, the slut Madonna complex of, like, what, are you not supposed to be sexually active? Or are you supposed to be, but no one's ever supposed to find out about it? Like, what is this? What's this double standard? And it's not a boyfriend. It's a non-committed.
And I was glad they aired that at the tell-all, the part where I was like, I didn't have a boyfriend. That was like, that was not the thing. Because that's, like, I mean, exactly. Like, the Friends with Benefits thing, literally, when I was watching it back, like, I did not watch it back with him. I associate him too closely with all this trauma. I never even saw him after this, but but we had casually, I had updated him on, like, hey, this is kind of what happened on the show. Like, his mom watches the show, so he kind of, like, I wanted to, like, brace him. And I was like, I'm never going to tell anybody, like, what your name is or anything, but like a week later, he posted, like, a TikTok or whatever with, like, a rose in his mouth, being like, will you accept this rose? I was like, you're fucking eating this up, dude. Like, shut the fuck up. Right. But, like, he was one of the ones on the phone with me being like, they're going to edit you like a villain. And I was like, no, they're not. But it was, I just couldn't stop being frustrated watching it back, because, like, of all of the guys that I've, like, dated to any capacity in the past few years, this is the smuggest motherfucker. The one that's just like, yeah, she's talking about me. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was so infuriating.
Was it one of those things when it came out of your mouth, did you think about it? Or was it just like you were just in, like, a conversation, didn't even think about it, and then all of a sudden, because it became such a big thing, was it like once it came out, like, oh, should I have said that? Are they going to use that? Or was it just so passing?
So they made it look like, so Sierra came up to me at the cocktail party, and they made it look like she had come to me saying that I just told Clayton about your friends with benefits situation, but that actually isn't what she said. She had come up to me and said, I just want you to know, I think you're a different person in the house than you are with Clayton. And, like, I let him know, and I was like, okay, like, okay, like, well, if there's literally one thing I'm not, it's different ever. So right. I was not worried about that at all. So, which is why when we sat down, I was like, I already know what you're going to say. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, like, that was where I thought he was going with this. I thought it was going to be a typical, like, I've been told that you're, you have bad, whatever.
Right.
I was prepared for that. I had no idea that this was coming. And to the point where I thought maybe somebody had read my journal or something to get this information. That was how I think I did mention it to Sierra at some point, but it was I mentioned it so casually in passing that I didn't even register it. You know what I mean? I think like they showed it, they made it like, there was a part where they showed like me saying, I know he's going to give it to me about the group date rose. And then they panned up to like my face and like the group. But like, I hadn't said that. I was not nearly as antagonistic towards the women as they made it look like I was. I was actually trying like really hard not to upset anybody, but still kind of make my impact or whatever, make my splash with Clayton. But yeah, so it was so harmless. And so I couldn't believe that this was happening because I had done nothing wrong. I hadn't lied to anybody. I hadn't hurt anybody. There was nobody that was being like actively deceived. I just like, I had a dude that I was literally like friends enough with that he was on the phone with me at the hotel being like, yo, kill it, like whatever. You know, it was so not serious. It was so casual.
Well, I mean,
there wasn't anything in your head that thought maybe this could leak back to him and he could take it the wrong way. Nothing.
Truly no.
Wow.
It kills me because it's like, you're far from the first person in that situation. And like, I mean, when me and Becca were dating, she was supposed to go on Paradise.
What ended up happening with that?
She was literally, it was the week before she was supposed to go.
Did she get pregnant?
No, not then.
I wanted her on Paradise, so I'm curious.
Becca and I were like, so when we dated, I knew she was going on Paradise. She had said she was going on Paradise. And we were like, well, let's just have fun till you go. And then like, I'm not going to stop your career. Like, what the fuck am I compared to this like crazy rocket ship you're on?
Yeah.
So like, let's just have fun and you go on Paradise and like, I'll be here when you get back. Like, or I won't, or you won't be available. Like, who the fuck knows? But like, don't give up this opportunity. Anyway, as it got closer and closer, the thought of her going on the show started to bother both of us more. And that's when we said, I love you for the first time. It was like, I don't actually want you. Now we're close enough and we've gotten close enough where I was like, I don't want you to go on the show. And this is why.
Yeah.
And then that was all she needed to hear to be like, I'm not going to go on the show. And then it was like 2 weeks later, she was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
But we had been talking about literally making a plan to have her go on the show and have me contact producers to come down to Mexico.
That's so crazy.
For my woman and show
That's
up
my
and be
girl.
like, I can't.
I admire her for that though.
We were talking about the whole thing because we're like, Paradise, anything fucking goes.
Yeah. No, totally.
And so we were like, oh, they'll love it. They won't care. And we were like, dude, producers will love that type of shit.
Totally. So speaking of Paradise, well, first of all, I admire Becca for that because like I broke up with someone. I was dating a guy in like March and April of this year. And I broke up with like the first dude that I've dated in years who was like actually serious about a relationship. I broke up with him because I was supposed to go on Paradise this year. It didn't end up working out. I can't really go too much into it. I'm not certain why. But I've touched base in the past few days with the girls who went home in the first rose ceremony, and kind of sounds like I dodged a bullet, to be honest, but like I stirred the fucking pot. I tried like my best. So when they called me, I had already quit my job and all that shit. And they were like, I was waiting on my fly out date and they were like, oh, it doesn't look like it's gonna work out this year. And I was like, well, I don't understand. Like what happened? Can I, is there anything that I can do? Like at this point, I mean, even for like a paycheck standpoint, like I'm kind of banking on this, you know what I mean? And I was given, I mean, truthfully, like when I go on like the Reddit threads and stuff about like, you know, who do you want to see on Paradise from, you know, this past couple seasons, it's like the obvious, like the shoe-ins, like this, it's like everyone's like Serene, Teddy, and like Cassidy. And like I know people want me there. And so it's really,
because you were like such a mainstay and then you were gone and everybody's like, what? So like
everybody wants a villain.
That's like obvious.
Everybody wants a villain, but everyone was so unfavorable towards Shanae that I kind of won by default there.
Sure.
I said I wouldn't watch Paradise if Shanae wasn't on it.
You and Wells, there's a whole bunch of people like in the
I like put her on. What are you talking about? She's gonna.
If it can't be me, it should be her. But
is it filmed?
They're halfway through right now. So the first rose ceremony just went down like a few days ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So once they called me and told me that, I fought it and I was like, there must be something I can do. I don't understand. Right. I think it might have been a health reason. There's some like change in my blood work, like the fucking mono, like I'm telling, like I don't know what their deal is, but so I called the producer, like I called all the producers I have access to, and I called like the tippy top one. I was like, listen, I really like this guy at this point, and I don't want to destroy my relationship with the franchise. Like, I don't know if there is a future for me with you guys or what the reason is that led to this, but to this decision. But, you know, if you think that I'm going to let this person that I actually like at this point fly out and meet a dozen plus other beautiful women before I've even had a chance to shoot my shot, like, you've never met me. Like, that's not what I'm going to, you know? So I was like, I want to fly out there and see him before he goes, but I will not do that if it's going to nuke my relationship with the franchise or whatever. And I was told that, you know, we can't tell you what to do. We have no, like there was a girl here this year that was told no last year. Like, these things happen. There's no definitive answer on whether or not like there's a future for you with us. But like, real recognize real, and like, you got to do what you got to do, and like, whatever. So in the back of my head too, I'm kind of like trying to create like a potential plot line here.
Right, like a buzz, yeah. Right.
I no longer feel that way about it. Like, I think that I don't even know if I would have any interest in Paradise if it ended up, if they called me fucking in 5 minutes, but he is there.
Whoa.
Yo, that's some tea right there. Freshly served. God.
First of all, I really love how like it is like it's not just like we're not getting the like
cheers.
Yeah, we're not getting the like, oh yeah, I don't know, I just kind of applied for the show. I don't know, who knows. It's like, no, I was intentional about like how I was going to pull it off, and here's plot line ideas, and here's this, and here's that. Wow, it makes sense then, because it's like,
and it goes back to like the exit interview comment that Hunter said on the season, and like in the little Cassidy grievance session they were having when I was getting sent home. It was like, she's mean, guys. Like, yeah, she asked me what my, like, I was so frustrated because the actual conversation that happened there was, Hunter was like so distraught. She's like, I'm definitely going home. And I was like, oh girl, like I also like identify with you in this way. Like, I'm not very emotionally comfortable. Like, I don't know how to like comfort people when they're sad. I
don't like it.
I don't like it at all. I'm not sensitive. So I'm like, when people are expressing themselves vulnerably to me that way, I'm like, okay, well, here's how we can fix it. You know what I mean? Like, here's what we can do, like whatever. So I was like, oh girl, like pick your chin up. Like, it's not that serious. Like, you're going to get your time. Clearly you got a rose on night one for a reason. Like, whatever. Like, just don't sweat it. Like, like whatever. And she's like, no. Like, I'm certain I'm going home. Like, I'm, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, like, have you thought about like what you want to say on the way out? Like, you want to make an impression and kind of like, do what you can with the time. I was actually trying to help. I had no ill intention towards her whatsoever. That was my version of like offering my assistance in whatever way that I could.
Be memorable.
Yeah, exactly.
You're on the show. It's like dating him can take you thus far or create these other opportunities, but it's like, you're on this thing. Live it.
Well, there's like two ways.
Embrace it in this way of like, understand, just be self-aware of what's really going on.
Yeah.
And you have these other opportunities, even as like, yeah, I think that's really good advice to be like, you still have options.
Right.
You still have options to make an imprint and to make an impression. But people, I'm sure, interpreted that as being like,
oh, it was so, I could totally visualize people like swirling my wine glass, being like, hope you planned your exit interview, bitch. But like, that's not what it was at all,
Well, there's like two ways to play it. There's like okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to go hard, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be like, I'm going to play it. Or there's the like, I'm going to be sweet as pie, and hopefully that he'll just fall in love with my sweetness. Because there seems to be like, those are the two that are successful, and then everyone else in the middle like fall away because they don't really know how to be, and they're like, wait, I'm trying to, and it seems unnatural. But it's either like super sweet or like I'm just myself all the way.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Every day I mourn the death of who could have been the greatest villain since Crystal Nielsen, which was me. But like,
do you have any regrets on the show? Like you're like, what, like anything, I wish I would have done this or that I didn't do that, whatever.
I mean, obviously I wish that I would have been more aware of like what I did say to Sierra. I never heard any audio of that or anything. So I don't know. To this day, I really don't know if they did read my journal and that's how they got that info. But assuming that I had casually mentioned it or something, there's a conversation that I remember where we were talking about like, isn't it crazy how like the minute you don't give a shit, that's when guys care or whatever. And that's when I think I might have brought up like, yo, dude, like totally, just normal girl conversation. Like, dude, there's 100%. There's this guy that like, it was so, I wish that I had been a little more aware of like, I figured he wasn't going to pick me because like statistically that's not likely. And even though I knew that he liked me, I figured like, you know, a girl like Susie walks in, you're like, okay, well, she's going all the way, like, or she's going to be the Bachelor. You know what I mean? So it's
you
like,
felt like that when she was in the room?
Yeah, I really did. Susie and Serene also is so beautiful. Like there were a couple, you know, you have kind of imposter syndrome in that moment where you're like, listen, I'm the prettiest girl in this Trader Joe's on a Tuesday afternoon, but like this is the Bachelor, you know what I mean? Like it's a whole different ball game, and you're so outgunned that you're just like, holy shit, like there's no way. Which is probably why I acted so unhinged, or one of the reasons was just like I was like, I got to do something here because like I'm in a situation that I'm not super familiar with, which is like most of these girls are prettier than me, so I got to do something, right? And like I think that so at a certain point I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna leave here with friends, but like I'm probably not gonna win. And I got really comfortable really fast, which is a thing that I just tend to do. Like I'm very okay with who I am and whatever. And I just put it all out there and like, you know, whatever. But so I wish that I hadn't shared that just because it ended up tanking what would have been an otherwise glorious run. But besides that, truly no, like Clayton was so good. Like even like in our, one of the things that I thought was really cool was that, I mean, I saw a lot of like tweets and stuff leading up to episode 3 where and I got the incredible blessing of there was the week intermission between episodes 2 and 3, so I got a whole additional week of being like the villain.
Oh yeah.
But there were a whole bunch of tweets leading up to episode 3 where it was like, can't wait to watch him snatch that rose back. And like it's his season. Like he very well could have been like, one other thing, I'm gonna need that rose back, and like totally humiliated me, and he didn't do that at all. Like it was, you know, kind of anticlimactic for the people who were hoping for a retraction like that. But he held my hand out of them. Like he was so sweet, and he never made me feel any kind of way. So like in general, I know I didn't do anything wrong to hurt anybody. There may be a couple things that like I thought I was being funny that like that was misinterpreted by the girls, and I, you know, probably would have been a little more, I would have edited myself a little more in the moment. But overall, I think that the go for it strategy, like go for it and see how it pans out strategy is kind of the way to go, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. That's how I always felt. And I think it was interesting because I felt like it's the same thing that happened with Shanae, which is like, you hold the power when he likes you.
Yeah.
If he didn't like you,
Exactly.
you would have been a mention. You would have been like, oh, that was a crazy comment. And then next, right? But the fact that he liked you, because he kept saying, let's hang out. They kept, you guys kept making out, having a good time together, laughing together. And I think that's what made everyone's blood boil, was like, wait, she's not doing the pageant queen thing, and he keeps liking her. Like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Yeah.
One of you said, like, when you're talking about Clayton, like, he was so, I think, unprepared for being the Bachelor that, like, I think he felt very out of his element, to where the fact that so immediately I made it so clear how I felt, or like what my purpose here was. I think that was flattering enough to him that he's like, it feels so nice to know that at least one girl is here for me.
I'm not having to play hard to get, and they were playing hard to get. You're just like, I like you. Let's hang out.
He must have been terrified. Like, to be honest,
he was deer in the headlights for a while,
because like you don't know if they actually like you. You got to be so scared of that, of like, well what are they just gonna fake it and be like whatever? And so it's like, if you immediately establish like a physical connection, he feels secure,
exactly,
and he feels confident, and he's gonna need that support, and he's gonna lean on it.
This season was different too, comparative to like everyone before it, because of like the COVID filming schedule. We did not, Clayton, Michelle's season on which Clayton was a contestant hadn't even started airing when we left to film. So we didn't know anything about this man. Not that we would have learned much more from his edit on the season because it was minimal, but like he must have been in an especially vulnerable position because like there's no, we have not only were we not expect, we have no idea who the fuck this guy is.
Yeah.
You know?
That was the thing. It was so random.
So random. They were
he was like the most random guy ever.
He was also announced like midway through her season, so it was like everyone shit leaked and everyone. It was like that guy that
was on there for a little bit. He's
and that's probably why
they
just edited him out. Was like, oh, well, we don't want to give anyone any expectations about what he's going to be like.
Okay, Broads, one more quick pause. So I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast before, but for the last 2 years, I've definitely been struggling with brain fog and a loss of energy. If this is something you also struggle with, you know it's super frustrating and discouraging. But thanks to First Person, I can take a more active role in my brain's overall health.
Okay, so this is the story behind First Person. It's pretty interesting. After witnessing the deteriorating effects Alzheimer's had on their father and grandfather's cognitive health, brothers Chris and Joe were determined to take their brain health into their own hands. And so after 25 years of research and experimentation, they created First Person. It is an innovative, precision-targeted cognitive supplement system which uses the brain-boosting medicinal benefits of mushrooms to activate the full potential of human cognition and brain health.
First Person supplements, they're made with functional mushrooms that aim to stimulate the body's natural production of specific neurotransmitters that trigger activities like energy, mood, and sleep. Grown and formulated in the U.S. exclusively by expert mycologists, First Person uses only the highest quality organic 100% filler-free mushrooms. I started using the golden hour capsules and they're really helping maximize my productivity and my creativity. I cannot wait to continue my journey with First Person. They really are amazing.
So start improving your brain health and cognition with First Person. You can get 15% off your first order by going to getfirstperson.com and use code CHATTY. That's GET First Person, FIRSTPERSON.com, code CHATTY for 15% off your first order. So go to getfirstperson.com, code CHATTY. Also, their packaging is really sleek and I love that about it. Anyway, these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and the products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any specific disease.
So, Broads, are you ready for a vacation, a trip? Because I sure am. And since I started using Away luggage years ago, you know I am never going back to using anything else when I go on one of those trips. It's just too good. No matter where you need to go, Away offers a range of suitcases and other travel products made of different materials like polycarbonate, aluminum, and durable nylon in a variety of colors and sizes. So whatever you need to bring with you, Away has luggage that will help make your next trip more seamless.
Every suitcase comes with an interior organization system that includes a built-in compression pad to help you pack more in, a hidden and removable laundry bag that separates your dirty clothes,
Love that.
And 4 360 spinner wheels guaranteed for the smoothest roll, even with the most hectic of airports and stations. And they also have a TSA-approved combination lock that'll keep all your belongings safe.
And they're so chic to boot. I love their suitcases. Oh, and P.S. Away's newest line of soft-side suitcases are made with durable, water-resistant nylon exterior that's made to last a lifetime, plus a lot more amazing features.
There's a 100-day trial on everything Away makes, and Away also offers free shipping and returns on any order within the contiguous U.S., also Europe, Canada, and Australia. So start your 100-day trial and shop the entire Away lineup of travel essentials, including their best-selling suitcases, at awaytravel.com/chatty. Jess and I both have them. They're incredible. We've had them for years, actually. That's awaytravel.com/chatty.
I was actually with Marlena in Miami last week for a night.
How was that?
She mediated. She's the coolest. She's really the cool. I called her last minute because I was on a flight back to LA, and I thought that I had an hour layover in Houston, like I did on the way to Miami, but they had me flying to JFK, and I was like, why? I was like, also one of the guys from Katie's season, kind of like one of the more random characters, flew me out there, so. I didn't want to these are the two guys I was interested in meeting in Paradise.
Got it. Okay.
This is such juicy tea on this episode.
So I haven't ruled it out that I'm going to get a call in the next few days.
For you.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw, but there was like a video that went viral on TikTok of like I posted some shit to my it was dubbed the fuck Clayton video because I was like, go fuck yourself, Clayton Eckerd. and I got a cease and desist for that because I had spoiled the episode. It was from my close friend story on Instagram, but I had been like, I was like,
how does that leak?
One of the like 80 people I had in my story at that point, I guess screen recorded it and probably sent it to a friend. And it just, I know.
It's weird, that shit. Becca and I, when Becca was pregnant, before anyone knew, we were at a very close, like, friends dinner, like a dinner party amongst like some of my oldest childhood friends. And there were like 3 random girls there who I had never met. Showed up with like one of my friends, and he was dating one, and then it was her 2 friends, and one of them was like obviously like a really big Bachelor fan or whatever, and there was like a conversation that went around the table of like, oh, like what are baby name ideas? No one knew. I told
that
my
she was pregnant yet?
I told my 2 they're 2 of my oldest friends. I told them in person. Becca didn't know anybody. I told those 2, I was like, yo, like this is like on the don't tell anybody this. Fucking E! News starts hitting Becca up like 2 days later, asking her if she's pregnant, being like, yo, are you pregnant? Are you like, like, we think you're like this whole thing. And it was like, yo, like some girl from that fucking party that Becca was talking to. It wasn't even a party. It was like an intimate thing. She just turned around, called her friend who works for E! News and was like, yo, I think this girl's pregnant. And it's like, bro, who the fuck are these people?
No,
where
I posted to my...
What is your goal in life of like, how fucking desperate are you for attention?
So I try and err on the side of like giving people, like everyone the benefit of the doubt, right? So, and like within the group of people that was in my close friend story, they're not all actually my close friends, but like I know all of them and I don't think any of them hate me. So I posted to my story, my close friend story after that got leaked to Reality Steve because it went right to Reality Steve. And I was like...
And it's like, how?
Literally. And it was like the video that he shared, I posted to my close friend story and I was like, okay, so something just leaked to Reality Steve and I know for 100% certain that I only posted that here. So like, but here's the deal. I was like, it's very possible that whichever one of you did screen record this and send it to someone had no idea what sort of trouble you might be putting me in. Like, you know, I'm like, it's very possible that you were just like, ooh, juicy and screen record or whatever without realizing that like I can get sued by a major network, you know, which that's on me for posting it to begin with. And it was a learning experience for sure. But like, that's like the biggest casualty of this whole Bachelor thing for me is like, I love being unhinged on the internet, like just fucking like chaotic for no reason.
And post show is not great for that.
It's really not. And it's like the death of like, I deleted my Twitter before the show. And I like, don't get like, I scrubbed my social media and everything. Like I deleted my Twitter before the show, not because I had ever said anything problematic. I hadn't, of course, but I was just like, I would prefer if the whole world didn't know that I spent the whole summer of 2019 tweeting about like dick and Subway sandwiches. Like I would just prefer if that wasn't the case.
Right. I want a clean slate here.
Like it's just like I love like the how much I have to just be a little more careful about everything is really the hardest part of all this. Like, you know, and compared to like the girls on like Becca's season and pretty much anything before these past couple of years, we really have a much lesser lens on all of us. Like Instagram's dead, like for the following is dead, like whatever, which is kind of a blessing and a curse for obvious reasons. But like even the small or much smaller scale that it is on now, it's like you can't do anything without someone making a TikTok about it or Reddit post about it. And like by and large, if you're on the right side of things, like you don't really have anything to worry about, even if you are being chaotic. But like I definitely thought about that when I got the no from Paradise. I was like, is it because I've been like too outspoken? Like I was very outspoken about like, you know, the Roe versus Wade situation and like the, you know, I definitely don't fall in the parameters of like neutral that they tend to prefer. But I figured since my opinions are correct, that wouldn't have been a problem, you know. But like, yeah, so that's been like the hardest part of this for me is that like and even like during the peak of everything, I only eventually turned my comments off on Instagram because I woke up one morning and like, because I think it's funny. Like I honestly had fun with it. Like it got a little over the edge sometimes, but by and large, I was like, hit me with your best shot. Like let's fucking go and let's duke it out. And I woke up one morning and my mom had been like at what was her time, like 3 a.m, commenting back to people like, you know, like going to war for me or whatever. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I can take the heat, but like if my mom is losing sleep over this, we've crossed the line, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that was kind of I never was really bothered by the hate or anything like that. Like there were a couple messages that were like, oof, that's a little over the line. But by and large, like I thought it was funny. And I can't remember which one of you said this earlier, but like, yeah, where someone would be like, you know, whatever, you're a fucking slutty piece of shit, whatever. And you DM them back and be like, you know, I actually kind of disagree with what you're saying and say whatever. And they'd be like, holy shit, are you actually reading these? And it's like, yeah, dude, I don't have 1 million followers. I have like 3,000 at this point. Like yes, of course I'm reading
regular ass person.
Yeah.
And you're blowing up my inbox. And of course I'm going to read it.
Of course. And then, you know, a couple messages later, you'll have a little back and forth and they'll be like, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I never should have sent this. Like you're actually really cool, whatever. And it's like, first of all, if all it takes is like a couple DMs back and forth to get you to change your entire perspective, I'm begging you to have stronger convictions about things. But like,
also like, who are you? Like, how fucking bored are you that you'll type out these paragraphs? I'm like, what do you have? Do you not have enough going on in your life?
I think it's just a lot of sadness. You know, a lot of people struggling and they're just like, they got to take it out somewhere.
Shut up, Evan. Let's just fucking
what I'm saying
people
is,
right now.
No, what I'm saying is like people take it out. You don't. That's why when you hit some people back and they go, I'm so sorry. How was your day?
Yeah.
It's like clearly it's not deep. It's like I just gotta hit a punching bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like crazy. Okay, so now that we've like kind of experienced the show,
the vent,
like how are you now?
That's what I wanted to get. I was gonna ask if you had any other questions related to the show.
No, yeah, like so how are you now? Like how's life now? Like it's been how long's it been? 6 months now? Like a year? I don't even know how long it's been. It feels like I can't even tell. I couldn't even tell you, but it's like
I felt like it was Bachelor, and now there hasn't been a Bachelor season for like 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so it's been a while. So like, how's life?
Honestly, like, so I quit my job to go on the show because like I said,
what was the job?
I was a recruiter. I was a bartender and waitress for like the 10 years leading up to that, and then during the pandemic when everything was shut down, I took a recruiting position in like the fire and life safety industry. So it was a totally new thing, but I was really good at it and I liked it. And
is it like be a fireman?
No, I was recruiting for like in like commercial and residential buildings, like the fire alarm systems and things like that. Like that random industry. I had no experience with it, but it was fun and I was good at it and I made money. It was cool. But I quit for the show because like I straight up thought that I was like I'm going the distance. But I was like, I've read all the books, I've done all the things. And then afterward, I pretty much didn't leave my apartment for like 2 months. And like I remember looking at my phone, like at my banking app one day and being like, holy shit, rent is due in like 2 weeks and I have no fucking money and I'm unemployed. I sat around and felt sorry for myself for like a really long time.
Oh.
Cause like there was a few months between when I left filming and when the season aired. So it was kind of just like this, it really does this to you. And me and Marlena were actually talking about this the other day of like how you're just kind of feel like you're perpetually living in limbo, you know, until, you know, well, maybe I'll be on Paradise.
Right.
Or, well, then maybe I'll be on Paradise
lock
next
anything
year.
down in life because you're waiting for that next call.
Exactly. So when I got back from when I did go back to work after that little depressive period ended, I went back to bartending because I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to shake out or if I'm going to have an opportunity at Paradise.
And that's the perfect job for it.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, let me go make some quick money and have something that's more temporary. And like I can, because when I left the recruiting firm, I was at that point handling a really large territory. So they had to like whole ass hire someone to like replace me and everything. And I didn't want to get a new job that would I didn't want to put anyone in that position again to have to like cover for me or whatever. So I was like, let me take on something more temporary and whatever. So I was working on Sunset.
Where?
Tess.
Okay.
Super good cocktail bar. You should definitely go there if you haven't been. But I quit that job back in May for the show. But by and large, like, I think that there's a lot to be said for the fact that, like, I was really hoping for Paradise, don't get me wrong, but everyone that I've talked to that's been a part of Paradise I think it might be a blessing in disguise that I wasn't involved, because, you know, if you kind of watch it back, like, it's the golden children go through, and all the disposable characters, of which I was hoping to not be one, but realistically probably would have been one. Especially, like, the fact that I actually like a guy that's there. Any prayer that I have of that relationship actually, like, having a chance in the real world probably would have been gunned down in Paradise. So, like, I think that it's been a tough couple of weeks, to be honest. I've been very, like, escapist. Like, I randomly went to Seattle, then I went to Florida, I'm going to Nashville. Like, I'm kind of just, like, trying to avoid being Cassidy at all costs right now, because, like, that reality is hard to face, because, like, you did, like, at this point it's been a year and a half that I've been involved with the casting process, and I've, you know, gotten poked with needles and all this stuff, and, like, it's just, to have it pan out to pretty much nothing is kind of a difficult reality to face. But ultimately, like, there's pros and cons to both sides of it, like, kind of having the option. And I think that this is something that, like, even, like, Becca's generation of women didn't really have. Having the option to fade back into obscurity, if that's what you want, is really nice, to be honest with you.
To just go back to being an audience member.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
Like, every time, like, it's kind of been cool. Like I said, I barely left my house for a long time, but, you know, half of the time I go anywhere, whether it's to CVS looking like shit or, like, to dinner with, like, you know, friends. It's like, are you Cassidy? And it's like, that little minor teeny glimpse into what, like, some sort of celebrity is like is fun, and it feels cool, don't get me wrong, to, like, have made that kind of impact that people remember me. But the fact that, like, the option still exists for that to fade in the next couple of years, and to go back to never really essentially never having done this to begin with, is really nice that exists, because I know that, like, in years prior, you immediately have 250 grand followers, like, after you step off the show, even if you were, you know, like, if
you're just a side.
Exactly. So it's changed a lot. And, like, while there's a lot less money to be made if you're looking for an influencer career for that reason, because, like, going into it, I never wanted to be an influencer or anything, but I was definitely like,
it'd be nice to have that be my job, right?
I mean, this is the thing that, like,
happened, you know.
Becca and I talk about Becca and I talk about this a lot. It's like, it's hard. She has, so, like, I'm no influencer, but I have whatever fucking followers I have because of people who just want the, like, more content of our family or whatever. And I've had people be like, why don't you do anything with it? And it's like, dude, even if I think about doing it, I'm not that guy. I 100%. Can't follow through. I can't create a fucking reel.
I tried to make a TikTok, and I was like, this is the stupidest.
It's like soul sucking.
It's soul sucking.
And, like, it is a full-time job. And, like, you may walk off with that following, but most people who walk off that show with the following drive it into the ground.
100%.
Most of them don't transition it into something meaningful. There's, like, Becca's she's like one of the top 5 most successful contestants to come off the show. It's like her, Grocery Store Joe, and fucking what's her face, who's, like, hosting on ABC now and has her podcast.
Well, certainly, I would say Becca's certainly one of the most successful that didn't make it to top 4, and she was close. I think Becca was, like, 6th place.
But Joe was day 1.
True, but, like, for some reason they decided that Joe shat gold or something. I don't know what the fuck. I mean,
Joe's really likable even in person.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll hold to it. I will always hold to it.
Being a 35-year-old man who decided to pair up with, like, a 23-year-old girl in Paradise does, like, I find that a little sus.
I haven't seen him since, like, all I'll say is the time I spent with him, I always enjoyed it. Even his friends. I remember we went to, like, Mocha or MoMA, whatever, on La Brea and the museum.
Oh, yeah. MoMA.
It was fun. Like, I always had a good time. And the other thing was, this is my standard. The story I'll always tell is Joe doesn't talk shit, and he doesn't like when people talk about people who aren't there, and he constantly reminds you. He's always just like, yo, let's not, like, it's the story I told one time. We were all there for Thanksgiving party at Kendall's house. Yeah. And it was Hannah B's season. And we were like, yo, what's the fucking deal with Hannah B? And we're in there like, yeah. You know, like let's fucking talk. And then he came in and he was like, I'm so fucking disappointed.
They were talking shit in here.
Yeah, and he's like, you guys are...
I met Kendall and her new boyfriend.
And he says it like this. He goes, you're better than that. All of you are better than that. And we were all like,
that's so cool. Okay,
and that's I like that. That's why I've always been like, no, Joe is likable.
Okay, that's good.
Joe, there's a reason like that he has this thing is like, he's that guy. And it's like, I didn't know the age gap or whatever. Who cares? To my mind, I'm like, whatever. One of my best friend's dad is 94 and his mom is 60 something.
There
so
is
I'm like who the fuck cares?
I think it's a little weird, but I won't judge because like like it's just not your place because you never know until you meet like the right person and they happen to be X number of years older than you or younger than you or whatever. But I have yet to meet the right person, so I'm certainly not in a place to. I wouldn't.
They might be younger than you. You might be a cradle snatcher.
Honestly, like I'm trying to die first, so that would be fine. But like, I met Kendall and her new boyfriend at the Airbnb that Blake Hortzman had at Stagecoach. I met a whole bunch of alum there.
It's so crazy to me how overlapping the whole Bachelor world stays.
And like, it was like, truth be told, like, I mean, I'm starstruck even sitting here with you guys and like, you know, like these people are celebrities to me. Like I'm sitting here talking to Blake and I'm like,
you are to
holy
us.
Shit.
You are our favorite part.
Yes, you are our favorite part.
I'm so flattered.
He called me. I'm literally pulling up my text with Evan.
I mean, the star of the show.
He goes, bruh, I got Cassidy coming in person on Wednesday. Ha ha ha, let's go. And I put no way. How the fuck?
You're like, she reached out to me, dude.
I was like, dude, I don't know.
We've been talking about it. Like, we're like, bro, Cassidy's coming on the show. Like, what do you guys do?
Do you guys really have guests on Bros?
We've had 3.
I was like, I like honestly, since Becca and Jess stopped recapping The Bachelor, I only like check in periodically. But I was like, I don't even know if they have.
They're doing it again,
guests. Right? Don't even get me started.
Oh no, we're all like, trust me, I think we've all been kind of starved for it.
Yeah.
I'm like
so we're all jumping back in.
Dude,
okay,
like
can
recapping, I'm like, it's so much better. It's like all you think about are the positive experiences when you think back on it.
Yeah. Can I ask, like, I would imagine, and like respectfully, I would imagine that like they stopped because obviously they want to take their content in a different direction, kind of separate themselves from that element of like the you know, the foundation. Did that affect, what kind of effect, if any, did that have on like their viewership, listen, whatever? Like,
well, I mean, it definitely like affects them to some extent. I just think they were burned out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're doing it for so long, so consistently, you know, because it was just like so many shows. It was just never The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. It was the middle shows, and so they just burned out. And so I think it was just like we need a break from this. We need to switch our viewpoint. We need to try that, and you know.
Well, the girls are brave as fuck.
Yeah, they don't.
Because like, truth is, to answer your question, is like, yeah, viewers left.
Yeah,
they were people who were here just to listen to them talk about The Bachelor, and then they basically, you know, had patience for the other episodes, and then there were other fans who were just here for them. Didn't matter what they were talking about, just super supportive to be like, we like them for who they are. But like, they created the show around that hype. And I think most people would have never...
They launched it kind of at the peak of Becca's fame.
9 out of 10, 99 out of 100 people would have never sacrificed that part. And they were just like, no, we're burnt. And we're taking this moment to take a breath and say, like, we're not happy doing that stuff. And we don't really care what the consequence is going to be. We're going to make a decision for us.
Good for
not
them.
about like X, Y, and Z. And it's also, I think for them too, is they were fans. They were fans of the show, and then it became a slough, and a slug, and it was just like, it became a chore, and it wasn't fun. And now they're like, we're ready again.
Well, to that point.
And that's great. It's like, cool.
To that point, there's a part of me that's like legitimately heartbroken by this whole thing of like, I used to get so much joy out of this show. I used to look forward to Mondays every day to watch it. And like having been hurt by it in the ways that I have, and like it certainly wasn't all bad, but like especially with this whole Paradise thing, like not going the way that I hoped, I feel really jilted in terms of like, not only was I kind of like shafted, but as a human being, as a fan, like I can never really enjoy this show again because I know what is behind the scenes now, you know, and like it's
like a lot of things.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say it's
don't
even
meet
like,
your heroes.
Let's talk about
like a lot of things.
Speaking of love, like talking about it like a relationship. Even positive relationships are traumatic.
Yeah,
they change you, and it like when those things end, how they fall apart, and we don't know that your story's over with this. I'm fingers crossed. I would love to see you back on the screen. So I'm rooting.
Well,
let me just say that.
Let me just say this. Thank you for coming. That was a whirlwind.
This is so tight.
It was just like I had all these questions and I was like, okay, here I know here like because I didn't know what you were gonna be like, you know what I mean? So I was like, I had this direction. We were off and running, and we through the trees, down underneath, back forth. I'm like, I didn't know what happened. I just blacked out. I just woke up. I'm like, what? What did we do? Holy shit! That was amazing.
When's your birthday, by the way?
I'm a Taurus, May 17th.
Okay, because I'm like, I'm just like, what's the signs?
What are your signs?
Oh, now that we've done this with Thomas,
so Aaron, I just called you.
You're an Aquarius, right?
He is.
No, I'm Aquarius, and what's my cusp? I'm like January 21st. So
well, Aquarius on either side is
what do you call
Pisces, I think, and Aries. Right?
No, it starts with a C.
Capricorn. Okay,
that's my cusp.
Oh yeah, that's what the median was saying.
But either
Becca's
way,
booking me an individual session with him.
Nice, he's amazing, man.
What's your sign?
Dude, we've talked about all the time. Libra.
Okay.
Since he came on, we've been talking about him. Which, by the way, if you want a spiritual median,
I very much do.
He's amazing.
What's the name?
Thomas Dale.
Oh, dude, he is phenomenal.
He blew our minds last week on the pod. He was amazing.
Is it like
Is it clairvoyant and medium?
Okay, I was gonna say crazy is supernatural.
What's crazy is, dude, we're plugging him so hard.
He's amazing. He blew our minds.
Yeah, but what's insane is you book anonymously. He doesn't know shit about you.
Yeah, it's not like he can find out. He just no idea who you are.
So when you book a session with him, it's not like he gets any personal information about you.
Yeah.
And the stuff he did with us is stuff that, like, it was pretty wild.
There was
a couple moments where, like, the stuff impossible to know.
My
family, no social media, nothing could ever have been found out.
My family, it's created, like, more drama in my family because, like, my mom, my dad, my brother, and Becca and I can't stop circling back to some of the things, like, he's discussed. And we're like, bro, it's weird.
I'm obsessed with all that. I'm obsessed with like all the like personality tests and all that. I know my like Myers-Briggs, my Enneagram.
But that's why I was curious because I was like, the way you're talking about your dating stuff, I'm like, I so relate and all these things. I was like, fuck, like your AZ, what's your sign? And I'm like, is this, what are we, I'm trying to connect.
It's like, baby, it's not that serious.
Why am I crazy like this?
Oh my God. Have you guys ever listened to Two Bros, One Rose? Fuck, I don't remember. But there's a part where they're talking about the group date, the recapping the episode that I was on, and they're like, you know what I fucking love about Cassidy is she's like the dude in this situation. She's like, no, baby, it's not even like that. It's not even like that.
It'd be fun when we're recapping. We should reach out to some other ones aside from Game of Roses to get some other Bachelor.
Yeah, totally.
Ones
100%.
And have us
100%. Do some collabs. Do some bringing together of the minds.
What Evan and I always get self-conscious about is other people do like actual work for their like
we just like, you know, you've caught our vibe before. We just have fun with it. We're just like and everybody's like, well, you know, in the second season of the third episode, we're like, what are you talking about?
We're like when what's her face talked to what's that guy and they said this. He's like, that's what they said. That's what's important. I don't care whose season it was on, but this was previously said on the show 5 years ago
at some point,
and we're gonna relate it to what happened.
I sent my mom the
here.
episode you guys did, and I was like, skip to minute 40. And then there's a whole portion in the, like, so once you start talking about The Bachelor, great, you sneeze. And then there's like 3 minutes where you're just talking about like sneezing.
This fool cannot get over me.
This guy, he's the tangent king.
My,
but no, we gotta wrap this up. We gotta wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. It was so much fun.
First of all, an incredible DM to get. It was from the clouds. Like, what is going on?
Genuine intentions. I just wanted to let you know that I thought it was so funny.
And I just figured it wouldn't happen because that's how a lot of times these things happen, especially people on the show.
Well, we've also reached out to people and they're like, we're not allowed to go on your show.
Right. And so
I'm curious about that.
So thank you for being brave.
Well, that's Becca. Becca's burned all the bridges.
Yeah, and I figured that as much.
I'm so proud of Becca for burning her bridges because she did it in the same way of like, she said stuff. She wasn't, I forget if she wasn't supposed to go on Jimmy Kimmel.
Sick.
But she was like, I'm going to go on Jimmy Kimmel. But she went off. Becca cannot be corralled.
No, and I love that about her. I've always loved that about her.
And she was like, it's over. No. And that was basically like,
well, I'm getting a similar sense over here.
Yeah, so I'm loving it. I'm like, trust me, she was calling at the start and I'm like, fuck, I wish we would have called her through it and had her chime in on some of this stuff.
Well, at some point down the line, I would
protect
love
you too, because if you two were to start going at it, we'd really destroy your future with the franchise.
Yeah, you want to burn that thing. Well, so this was the match. That is the furnace. Right.
I was pretty like very honest, but also like, you know, there isn't much nefarious stuff in the honest truth about all this. So, cool. But yeah, I would love to I would fucking love to meet Becca at some point. Let her know that I think she's the bomb, and like you know, I've had the most fun with you guys, and like I think your women are top notch.
They are top
we're
notch.
Lucky.
We appreciate it. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Not
Thank
top
you.
Notch, but they
are. We're just hanging on the coattails.
No,
and we're fine with it.
Y'all outshot your coverage big time.
We're lucky.
But thank you for coming. Thank you for reaching out. That's
my
awesome
pleasure.
too.
My pleasure.
We're bad at that, but we really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you for
you
reading.
are electric. Thanks for being amazing on the show. Thanks for making the show fun. If you wouldn't have been there, we would have been suffering. Thank you for creating Shanae, that created another months of drama. We appreciate it. Give it up for Cassidy. Thank you so much. It is all a part of my plan. Chat soon.
All I had in my head was like the Batman when he's like, swear to me.
Happy Friday, broads. We love you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, everybody. Pleasure to meet you guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Bye.
Phenomenal.